Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of September 2nd to September 8th. Now, before we do any type of recap or look ahead, I got a reminder for everybody. I am not running any additional specials in the month of September. I'm not. The special that I ran for that Mercury retrograde, I actually started it in mid-July when Mercury entered shadow, and I ran it for a good 45 days. A lot of people capitalized on it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all. I love you so much. But it also made me very, very aware I needed to make some changes and how I do some of my stuff, which is wonderful. Thanks for the lesson. But for me to have the time and ability to do that, there are no specials throughout the month of September. However, I am still taking bookings. Everybody still gets their normal pricing. Nothing's going up or anything like that. New clients, you get special pricing for your first sessions. Anyways, that remains the same. It was just throughout the month of August, everybody got new client pricing because there was so much anxiety and frustration and things happening that we just needed to wrap our head around. But now we're going into something else, and I don't feel like people are going to be as dominant or in need of so much extra attention. So I'm just taking my stuff back to regular pricing. So I'm being very honest about that. And you'll probably hear me say that a couple of times throughout the weekly episodes, just to be clear. If you have any kind of specialty that you are looking for in a reading, I have my readings listed in the description of every single episode along with my contact information. But if you see something that's not listed that you're looking for, that you're wanting to spend time on, like deep diving into, it's not that I don't do it. It's just that I look at my sessions like life coaching sessions, guys. I really do. And whenever it comes to a session, like one session can be about somebody's health, the next session could be about somebody's relationship, the next session could be about financial, the next session could be about children and what we need to do different. Things in families and things along these lines. Like it goes round robin so often that I don't just look at one niche area. I try to be as holistic and big real world as possible in those sessions. So if you ever have a question on what I do, just email me or email me letting me know what you're wanting in a session, email, DM, smoke signal, whatever. And we'll talk about it and we'll figure it out and make sure it's going to be something that works for both of us. Okay. Again, contact information is listed in every single episode, and you can just reach out to me at any time. I'm still going to be doing my weekly Zooms. I'm still going to be around. It's nothing like that. It's just, I know I need to work on some things behind the scenes to make sure that I'm giving everybody exactly what they're needing as we continue forward. Okay. Moving along. I'm recording this on September 1st. And when I was meditating on the energy over the weekend and going into this morning, I love it. I love it, guys. I'm so serious. I have been looking forward to September since, well, June. I'm not even kidding you. I've been looking forward to September because I always felt like the analytics, the results, the practicalness, yes, it's Virgo season, but that the results of whatever came through over the course of July and August was going to really put some very big things into our mind. And it's going to, again, shift focus. I've said this multiple times, but it's how it's shifting focus. Now, for some people, parts of this week, there is still an outcome. There's still a result. There's still conversations. There's still some news. There's still a vibration of expect the unexpected, even though Uranus is now retrograde. And we're going to get into Uranus retrograde here in just a second. Even though we still have something that needs to come through. Now, I said in the month ahead forecast that a lot of September is about going back to the drawing board. The thing is, for some people, you're going to get forced back to the drawing board. The outcome, the verdict, the decision, the deciding factor of something needs to come through in a certain way to make you aware of what's happening next, of where we're going next. You don't get a vote in the matter. You have to deal with the result. Hi, how you doing? This is on your plate now. But for other people, it's internal. And there's something about going into this week that we just want to say, screw it, F it. I'm not in it, shaking my hands of it, walking away. You do you, boo boo. It's on you. And for some people, that outcome from another person is going to feel very unexpected. We've been in a situation all summer of no, 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 I don't want to do this. I'm resistant. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want this to happen this way. I'm so sick of it. And then we get to parts of this timeline, these last few days of August, whenever Mercury was direct, these first few days of September that we're going into now, this timeline right here. And it's like, why does it matter so much? I don't want to do it. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be in control. It's just some part of my ego doesn't want them to be in control. Screw it. You want to tear the company apart? You want to tear the family apart? You want to do this crazy thing? Go do it. I don't care. Stop holding something over me. I'm tired of this being a pressure on me. I'm tired of this weight. And some elements of this week are going to be because one person is taking a shift back in weight, so to speak, and pressure. It allows for something else to finally occur, to finally move forward. And that will be something that gets revealed this week. For other people, it's something more internal. Tired. Tired of being anxious. I'm tired of being upset. I'm tired of being frustrated. I'm tired of going to things I don't want to do, being in places I don't want to be. I'm tired of going to mom's house on Sunday because it ain't even my mom. I do not know why I'm stuck on this example, but it was something that just made sense as I was thinking about it this morning. The song that I started to hear whenever I woke up this morning and in my meditation throughout the weekend, but very loud after I woke up this morning, was The Rich Man North of Richmond. It's a country song. But it is literally about a man just being done. I'm tired. Tired of being taxed. I'm tired of being overworked. I'm tired of not making enough money. I'm tired of being stuck. I'm tired. And so many people, you're going to go into this first week of September just, I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of this anxiety. I'm tired of this pressure. And because you are finally willing to admit you're tired of fighting, you're tired of going to your mother-in-law's house, knowing your mother-in-law hates you, the entire family hates you, your wife makes you go because in her head, this is tradition and we're supposed to go to family lunch, family dinner, whatever on Sunday. But they don't like me. But yet you still force your husband to go. And there's something there about then that other person that is tired of just feeling the anxiety and is tired of feeling the pressure and tired of feeling hated. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. I don't like the way this makes me feel. Go by yourself. Just bring me a plate. There's some people, whenever they're in relationship, they get very attached. It's like they're attached at the hip. Everywhere I go, you got to go with me. They don't do things independent of one another. The most independence that one side will have is they get to go to work, but they still get their calls and their text messages of checking in. Your significant other is tracking your location. You're just like, I'm in the bathroom. Can I just have some peace and quiet? I need a break. And it will be the internalized energy between the last few days of August, which we've just wrapped up. And again, this first week of September, it's that internalized energy of just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this way. I'm not saying everybody's going to like hop into the idea of like divorcing their controlling wife or controlling husband. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, I'm just tired of this. And there's something about Sunday's energy that's going to really be a part of the vibration for the week. Now, two things happened on Sunday. Uranus turned retrograde, and a few hours after that, Pluto re-entered Capricorn. Now, Pluto has been in Aquarius. Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. And it really kind of comes down to what Uranus and Taurus represents for you, what Aquarius represents for you. As a whole, Aquarius represents people and masses. And there's going to be a lot of people that they just don't vibrate the same with certain people. They don't connect the same way with certain people. They're just not feeling it for one reason or another. And some people will make a statement. I don't want to hang out with you no more. I don't want to go to your mom's house on Sunday. I don't want to do this. Or, and one of the things I love about Uranus's energy is, why don't we try something new? Oh, really? What are we going to do? Well, why don't we have a date night? I'm sticking with couples just for this example. We always do this other thing. Why don't we just say, screw it, F it, and try something new? Be a little spontaneous. And given that dynamic change, it's like the spontaneity, the all of a sudden energy of just trying something new, doing something out of the box, doing something we never do before, have never done, or I know I said that wrong, but still. It creates a relief. And it has our minds going back to the drawing board, but not in the negative sense, but more along the lines of, well, why don't we do this more often? I like date night. I like this kind of time with you. I like the lack of pressure. Because the one thing I know we are all so sick of after the month of August is the anxiety. Now, how the anxiety has impacted you has been different for everybody. For some people, you have anxiety about this one situation. When is this going to happen? When are we going to get back together? When are we going to make this work? When is this going to... When am I going to get this promotion? When am I going to get this raise? When are they going to do this thing at work? And now we're getting to a point like, you know what? I'm done. I don't care if you do this audit and you do this investigation. I don't care anymore. And some part of us can just feel done with something. There's very much a screw this. I'm just sick of it in the vibration. I don't want to play this game anymore. I want to be a race car driver. I want to be a mermaid. I want to be a rap star. I want to be a sea witch. Just sick of it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to conform. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be where I'm not wanted, where I'm not comfortable. I'm tired of living in this tight bubble of pressure. Pop. Let's pop that bubble. Let's burst that bubble. Let's burst that water balloon and slide down a water slide. I know it's September, but hey, we can do one more round. One more. And just some part of us is tired of caring about something. And energetically, we are letting go of a pressure. Now, if you are making the choice to let something go, the other person might not feel the same way yet. And they can have some kind of unexpected outcome based off of you saying, screw it. I don't want to do this anymore. Pay me out, buy me out. I'm done. I would like to live my life in peace for a moment, please. And there's something about just taking logical steps this week. Now, you can say part of that logic is the fact that the sun is in Virgo. I would agree with that. All of the earth signs are activated. Thank goodness. When all the earth signs are activated, we tend to have something very practical. Where we had an anxiety about something once before, and we're going into this week And we're going to find some level of relief from that anxiety. We get a solution. We see a solution. Now, for some people, the solution is taking steps forward. But what you are tired of is tired of waiting for someone to make the choice to treat you right, to treat you fairly. And you're going to make very logical steps to enforce that, if not breaking away from it completely. Sometimes you don't get the chance to break away from it. It's more along the lines of, okay, I have been Mr. Nice Guy for quite some time now. You want to push my buttons, I will push them back, but I will not be pushing them in some dramatic way where it causes a scene. No, this is not TikTok friendly. I'm going to take your ass to HR. I'm going to take your ass to court. I'm going to file a complaint with the labor board. I'm going to file a complaint with this other place. I'm tired of no real, tangible, logical repercussions. So I'm going to do it this way. I want to see what happens. Now, the one thing that I will give a lot of credit to this generation and this society, even though a lot of people don't always like it, is they are more likely to take practical, logical steps to hold another person accountable. And with all of the earth energy activated again, and what I'm saying that is like the sun is in Virgo. We got a new moon in Virgo. That's how we start the week. Pluto's back now in Capricorn. Uranus turned retrograde in Taurus. All three earth signs are activated. And even the most logical steps can bring forth some very emotional responses. How dare Karen file a complaint about me? Well, you treated her like crap every time she came in all summer. So what did you think was going to happen? 2 + 2 is 4. How did we miss this? How did we miss it? There's a lot of knowledge that's going to come through this week, but I do not feel like this knowledge has the same level of anxiety or pressure as before. Now, does that mean everybody is going to be forthright and honest? Not necessarily. Your version of the truth is not your ex's version of the truth. The way you remember certain events from past situations is not the way they remember certain events from past situations. So remember that part. We still have versions of the truth that need to come through, that need to be understood in some way. And that is also a part of how we start this week. We get 2 transits at the very beginning of the week. The new moon in Virgo, which is, of course, a new moon ruled by Mercury, a newly direct Mercury. And Mercury is still in Leo. This is the last week of Mercury in Leo. We don't have to deal with this again until next year. But Mercury is still in Leo. We do still have some things that need to come to light this week. And there will be some very big actions that come through, because right as we're going through that new moon in Virgo, Mars is going to go through a square with Neptune at those very late degrees of Pisces and Gemini. It'll be the last little bit of Mars in Gemini. We have certain things that are going to be happening at the later degrees of signs. So I do feel like there's going to be certain actions and reactions to this week of being done with something, completing something. But I don't necessarily feel like all of it needs to be a spectacle. However, there can be some delusion in the decisions that we are making, because the actions we are taking don't necessarily have all of the facts. They have newer facts, but not everything else is clear. You know, so-and-so lied, but you don't know the depths of the lying. You don't know the layers, the rounds, the levels, how far back it goes, how many people were involved. You know one part. not all of it. You were promised one thing, and all of this other crap happened. So some of the actions and the reactions we're taking this week can be a little diluted based off of how the week starts. But I do like the energy of this week. And we do start to get some types of information. And again, there will be some of the things that come to light this week that can very much spark a lot of emotions. I don't feel like this is the most emotional week. I actually feel like this one's going to be very practical and very logical. I feel like as we get closer to that full moon eclipse on the 17th, that we're going to have a lot more emotions. But we can have very logical, analytical, practical thoughts to what must be released, to what we are outgrowing, to what we need to shift our focus to where we are going next. And I say that because, in addition to everything else I just said, Venus is now in Libra. And Venus will make a conjunction to the South Node. And it will also make a conjunction with the moon right around where the October 2nd eclipse is going to be. And I feel like there will be something about this week that lets us know, it gives us a precursor, it gives us an idea of where we're going to have healing, release, purge, outgrowing throughout this month and into October. And I don't mean that in the negative sense. I feel a relief for a lot of people in this energy. If you feel heavier than that, I would really be curious of what's being activated in your chart. And two, I would judge how deeply you are reacting something and if it is a necessary, warranted reaction, or if we're making something bigger than it needs to be. Because the weight of this energy this week, it's not crazy. It's not. So be aware of your choices with how we go through this week. Okay. Let's get into the week. Let's get into Monday. Of course, it is September 2nd. Now, why am I right here at 12:30 in the morning? I wanted to show that right before midnight, the moon went into Virgo. It went into the sign where it will have a new moon. And the new moon will actually perfect later on Monday evening. But there are things about the weekend, like I was discussing with Pluto going back into Capricorn and Uranus turning retrograde. There's a lot of things about the weekend that make us aware of where this decision is going to be. And again, for some people, it's going to be a very practical, relieving, logical decision. For other people, it is pushing more information to light. And if we're pushing something to light, then again, we have more things that come down to expect the unexpected, not necessarily all in the new moon, but it's throughout the week. But I wanted to show, like, right after midnight, the moon is just barely in Virgo. It actually went into Virgo right around 11:30, 11 o'clock, around 11 o'clock. So I'm making people aware of that right here. Okay, moving along. When it comes to the day, there is nothing directly happening until the evening time on Monday, until around 8:30, 9:30. Yeah, right here. So, okay. At 8:56 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have the new moon in Virgo. I'm not going to get too heavy in the new moon. I will do its own video either later today or tomorrow, specific on the new moon. The other thing that is going on at this moment, though, is the square between Neptune and Mars. Now, this goes exact between 10:34 and 11:13 p.m. So I'm going to bump it one more hour. You can still see the new moon is pretty present. You can see we're just about exact on that Mars-Neptune square. Oh, Neptune, illusion, delusion, spirituality, lies, fraud, deception, substances, vices, and substances can be illegal or prescription, pharmaceutical. It depends on what it is. Now, what we can be talking about here is something very practical in the sense of, like, I don't feel like my medicine is working the same way. Some of you just got on a new medicine and you're trying to recollect what's feeling different. And some people, when you try a new medicine, like unless somebody asks you, and I have to do this with my mom all the time, I have to ask her after she's tried a new medicine, how are you feeling? And whether it's a prescription medicine or like medical marijuana, like whatever it is with her, like I always have to ask, like, how are you feeling? What is different in the body? What's going on up here? Are you relaxed? Are you tense? Are you feeling anxious and jittery? What's going on? And there can be some level of conversation about how something is making you feel, how you are reacting to it, physical reactions to something. And that's going off the idea of substance. Now, for other people, this can be the spiritual stuff. Like, oh, I want to try this thing I've never tried before. I want to do this creative thing I've never done before. I want to dye my hair crazy colors because I've never done it before. Hi, I look like a sea witch, going back to that little joke earlier. There are just things that we just want to do a little bit differently. Now, the thing about Neptune is sometimes it can speak to creative actions, and that's a good thing. For other people, it can be inspiration. And I'm talking about the good things here. Now let's go with the negative. Lies, fraud, deception. Sometimes we don't know the layers of the deception. Sometimes we don't know the extent of what somebody will do to put something over on another person. And I want people to be aware of that too. Ask and double check any certain conversations that are going through on Monday and Tuesday, because that's when this energy is the most exact. If we're not feeling inspired to do something on our own, if we're getting influenced by another person, I would really, cross your I's, dot your T's. Don't just go with what they're telling you. Do your research. That's going to safeguard you, because we don't want to take diluted actions. Some people will take diluted actions because we're not wanting to deal with someone else anymore. Because whenever we're going through Neptune square with Mars, Mars is also starting a quincunx with Pluto. They're not seeing eye to eye. So the actions we're taking is because we don't want to deal with someone else. We don't believe someone else. We don't want to talk about this other thing. So we're going to go in this direction. Well, I don't want to work with Harry, so I'm going to work with Bob. But is Bob honest? Is Bob worth your time? We need to ask those kinds of questions. How did the thing go with your mom? How did the family event go this weekend? Were they mad I didn't go? Might be. That doesn't mean that you made the wrong decision. But be aware of the actions that we get inspired to take Monday and Tuesday the most exact, because of this square between Neptune and Mars. Okay. The other thing that I like about Monday, and I didn't really feel the need to say too much of this, is Mercury's starting to get its momentum again. It's starting to move, and it's a little bit slow between Monday and Tuesday, but literally by the end of the week, he's going way faster. So that's a good thing to know. All right, let's get into the 3rd. Let's get into Tuesday. The moon is going to be in Virgo all day. Neptune and Mars are going to be separating from their square all day, but we will still be in it. I'm making everybody very, very aware of that. And we get to the morning time between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. The moon is going to make an opposition to Saturn. Let's say over the weekend, you had some grand inspiration. You got an idea. Got to take it to the boss. Got to take it to your mom. Take it to your dad. Something new happened over the weekend, and you have to tell an authority figure. You have to tell somebody else. Why? Because Saturn is the government. It is the rules. It is the regulator. It is the boss. It is your CEO. It is the elder. It can also have to do with a delegation of responsibility. You go into work Monday morning and you get called in your boss's office first thing going, so something happened last week when you were on vacation, when you took off for the holiday weekend. Because again, in the States, we had a bit of a 3-day weekend for a lot of people for Labor Day. And I need you to pick up something extra. I need you to do something extra. I'm letting you know something has changed. We made a decision to go in this other direction. Or again, that delegation of I need you to take some additional things on, coming from the superior, coming from the boss. Sometimes we just need some additional guidance. So you talk to somebody first thing in the morning about, how do you want this job done? How do you want this to go? And we have an exchange first thing Tuesday morning. It's not heavy. It's not backbreaking. It's not heartbreaking. I'm just saying there's an exchange. Doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's just the most exact between 6:30 and 8:30 in the morning. All right, we get to around lunchtime, and between 12:30 and 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 1:30. The moon is going to go through a square with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter's in the higher authority. Jupiter is pushing for something. Jupiter is the doctor, the guru, the teacher, prestigious things, lessons of some sort. We need some additional guidance. We need some additional lesson. We need some additional knowledge. You get a call from the doctor's office letting you know, oh, hey, just so you know, this needs to happen tomorrow. We need to do this thing tomorrow. Oh, we do? Yes, we do. Now, there's a reason I'm going to go with doctor for this example. While we're going through Jupiter's square with the moon, if you also notice, Venus is coming very tight to its conjunction with the South Node. Now, Venus is the ruler of Libra. When it comes to what Venus rules in the chart, anything having to do with your mouth, your nostrils, going down your esophagus area, going into your lungs. Lungs are co-ruled by Venus and Mercury. Venus rules the kidneys. Venus rules your female sexual organs. Like, there's a lot of things tied to Venus. The South Node is the body of the dragon in Vedic astrology. It is the body that has been outgrown, disgraced, discarded, removed. And there can be things, if you are especially dealing with stuff with people in their health and the medical side, where we're having to deal with things tied to the body and what needs to be looked at or reviewed with the body. Does it have to be exact at this time on the 3rd? No. But I'm letting people know, if you have medical things going on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, there can be some awareness of something that has declined in the body, that's not functioning the same way, that's not working the same way. And in some ways, we can be going to the doctor, moon square with Jupiter, and we're waiting for the doctor to give guidance or give direction. Now, the doctor can say as simple as like, oh, I'm going to need you to go get some labs. You're going to go to a specialist. I'm going to refer you out. We got to go in another direction. I can't handle this the same way. Now, why am I saying that part? I need to remind everybody, Jupiter is co-present with Mars. They in the same house. They're in the same sign. And Mars is wrapping up its trip in Gemini. This is the last full day of Mars in Gemini. So if you are talking to somebody about such a situation that they don't know what to do with it, don't be surprised if it turns into a referral and you have to go somewhere else. This can work the same way in education. Well, we did some additional testing on little Johnny, and I think he's going to need to go to a more special classroom. He's going to have to go to a different teacher. We might need to get some tutoring. Doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world, but there can be something from the doctor, the guru, the teacher, letting you know that one thing is not quite enough. And for the wellness of the body, of the person, of our loved one, we need to go in a potential different direction. So don't be surprised by that kind of thing. It's the most exact on Tuesday, but it can play through the human effect Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay. The exact conjunction of Venus and the South Node are going to happen in the evening time between 6:45 and 7:03 p.m. So you can see they're right on top of each other right here. Venus is 6 degrees, 38 minutes. South Node, 6 degrees, 39 minutes. Again, we can be looking at what's necessary to improve the body with Venus here, what we need to cut out specifically to improve the body, or what we need to have additionally looked at, where we need to make a change, where we need to go in a different direction. There's something here that can very much impact people's bodies. And again, given what I talked about in the intro with Uranus just turning retrograde, we can be talking about we are cutting somebody off because I'm tired of the way they make me frickin' feel. I'm tired of the anxiety. I'm tired of being mad all the time. I'm tired of being frustrated. I'm tired of not feeling good. And we can have these kinds of conversations anywhere between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, moving along. This is the last exact stuff whenever it comes to Tuesday. Just to be clear, we're going to go ahead and get into Wednesday. We're getting into the 4th. And for the most part, on the 4th, the moon is going to be in Virgo. Right here, you can see that right here. So about half of the day is going to be in Virgo, but it's specifically the overnight hours. And Wednesday has a lot more energy to it, given the lunar transits involved. And I need people to be aware of that. So let's get to the first one. Between 4:30 and 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through a trine with Uranus. Then immediately afterwards, it's going to hit this opposition to Neptune. And then immediately after that, it's going to hit this trine to Pluto. I want to focus on the first two first, because these have a back-to-back thing before I go into the Pluto part. Uranus, again, expect the unexpected, but Uranus is going in a different direction. So it could be like you have an appointment that's supposed to happen, and you get the call going, hey, I just had something unexpectedly happen, and I can't make it. I won't be there. I can't provide this thing. I can't do this thing. I didn't get done in time. I'm not going to be free. I'm not feeling well, whatever it is. Remember, we just had Venus conjunct the South Node. So it can be very much an awareness of not feeling well. But given that Uranus is going in the different direction than the moon, it could very well be like, oh, well, shit, I had plans. I had this all worked out. I got a babysitter. I got to come up with somebody else. And there can be this energy of like, as soon as the moon hits the opposition to Neptune, it's like reaching out to someone else and they're not expecting it. They're clueless about what to do. Like, I've never babysit a 10-year-old before. What do they eat? They'll tell you what they eat. Are you sure? Do they know? Sometimes you have to call your brother who's never watched the kids by themselves. They only just kind of look at them from the distance, or they're the cool uncle like in the groups, but they've never been one-on-one. They're like, what do you do? I like cartoons. I like cartoons too. It doesn't have to be heavy, but it can be like we get that call on Wednesday morning that somebody can't do something. Something has changed. Something has interrupted part of their day. Somebody's not feeling it the same way. Somebody doesn't want to stick to a commitment. And then you get another person that is being kind of forced to step in when the moon hits the opposition to Neptune of like, well, I don't know what to do either. Well, I've never done this before. How do I do it? What do you do? I don't know that I can. And it's just, oh, wow. Okay. Now let's go to the next one and why I'm giving this level of example. After the moon goes through its opposition to Neptune, what it's also going to start to do is get a square from Mars while also being in a trine with Pluto. The square from Mars can be tense. There is direction, there is pushing, there is purpose. It's at the very late degrees of a sign. So we can have some very harsh words with another person. But if you say harsh words to somebody, or somebody says harsh words to you, it could very well be for the last time. Mars looking at the moon. This is what I said. This is what I told him. This is where I said to go. Why are you mad at me? Because you're in my way. You're not listening. You're not doing this the way that I want. I wasn't even a part of this. Stop taking your shit out on me. The moon's trying to Pluto. Those two are moving towards each other. And it's like talking to somebody that used to work for the same crazy boss that you still have. I can't believe it's like he's always done it that way. He's always been that way. It's an understanding of the trigger. It's an understanding of the tension. It's an understanding of the frustration. What do you mean you can't make it work on time? Thought you got your childcare stuff worked out with your kid. People get sick. Shit happens. It's not planned. But somebody is still so mad that it pushes all of these other little buttons. Could the brother easily be the person that ends up taking your kid? I'm using this as an example. Guys, I'm not saying this is happening to everybody. Obviously, a lot of people don't have kids, but it's still one of those things that once we hear this other thing, there is an action or a reaction. Now, it might not be as simple as that. It could be, so I got this message last week, or I got this notice last week. I've got this information. I want to talk to you about it. Uranus trine the moon earlier in the day. And then you hear something so unexpectedly, and you're like, that is a bold-faced lie. Can you prove it? Absolutely. Here's how. That ain't real. That ain't what I said. That's not what was agreed upon. That's not what was scheduled. Here's the proof. Here's the receipts. Here's the screenshots, because we still have elements of things getting revealed this week. That hasn't gone away. And then that square with Mars can be like, you're lying. How dare you say those things about me? How dare you try to pull that kind of game? How dare you try to do this? And the moon's trying to Pluto be like, I want to blast it. I want to blast them. I want to put it on TikTok and embarrass the shit out of them. I want to blast them on social media. Maybe you should. It never has any kind of repercussions. It always goes a certain way. You should do it. Do this thing to help you get over the trauma, that frustration, that old thing. And there can be a lot of tensions to the fourth, a lot of confusion to the fourth, a lot of unexpected outcomes and unexpected news leading to unexpected emotional reactions. Why do I say that? Because again, this is the last full day, or this is the last little bits of Mars in Gemini. The day before was the last full day. Mars is about to go into Cancer on this day. Okay. Speaking of that, Mars' square to the moon can be felt the most exact between 10 a.m. and noon. Pluto's trine to the moon can be felt the most exact between 10 a.m. and noon. At 11:12 a.m., so I'm going to bump this an hour, the moon's going to go into Libra. So there is something perfecting in the square that's taking something in a new direction. It's taking something into something bigger, into a new detail, into a new focus. The moon is now going into the air sign. And the conversations and the dialogue and the things that can start, the ambitions that can start, the new tradition that can start, maybe my brother should watch him more often, kind of thing, can start, will start to click in as we go through Wednesday. The moon goes into Libra. It's still in the square to Pluto when it goes into Libra. They're still mathematically within the square. At 2:47 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'm bumping this to 3:30, Mars will now go into Cancer. Now, Mars does not do well in Cancer. He is exalted in Capricorn, super happy, super competitive, and super capable. He is said to be in its fall in Cancer. Mars is the god of war. Cancer is the sign of mothers. This is oil and water energy for a lot of people. There will be a lot of people that feel like they just got dropped into a situation that they're not capable of initially, some people, that they're not okay with, they're not comfortable with, they're kind of frustrated with once Mars goes into Cancer. And what I said in the month ahead forecast is for the next 2 months after this starts, you need to have projects. You need to have someplace to put your energy, to put your focus. This is going to help you keep your sanity. Look for all the projects that you need to do around the house, start lining them up. And when you have a frustrating moment, take your ass to the garage, grab a paintbrush, whatever you're doing. I don't care. You know what you're thinking of. Have those things in line. Because if not, you're going to get stuck in your feels at any point over the next 2 months once Mars goes into Cancer. Okay. Now, after this, there's no additional exact transits until we get into the evening time. And the one that happens in the evening time actually carries us over into Thursday. So I want to show this right here. Between 11:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m., the moon is going to make that conjunction to the south node. And I wouldn't usually get too heavy on that energy. And again, this is going to be something that starts on the 4th, but takes us into the 5th. So this can apply on either day, late evening on Wednesday, early morning on Thursday. It really comes down to the human effect there, but just be aware of this. But considering Venus, again, just made a conjunction to the south node. Venus is the ruler of the next Libra eclipse, of course, that final eclipse that we're going to have on October 2nd. She is the more dominant ruler. There's a lot of the energy that's setting the stage for where we're going to have clearing, closure, and what have you. There can be stuff here that is a continuous effect, and we can be, again, looking at what's necessary for the body. Now I want to add into the effect that The moon is now hosting Mars and will be for the next 2 months. We can have a very emotional reaction to being cut off, to needing to end something, to having to let something go. And there can be conversations, if not arguments, throughout the day that result in more and more awareness of what we're letting go, of what we're releasing, of where we are outgrowing something, where we are purging something. Now, that emotions can be like, I'm so angry. But those emotions can also be like, I can't believe my baby's grown up and saving China. Okay. For the Mulan reference and for people that need that. Be aware. It can be a happy emotional just as much as it can be a frustrated emotional. Mars is now in Cancer. Okay. Moving along. The moon's conjunction to the south node happens again right here 12:30 in the morning. You can see it's pretty close to being exact. It's a part of the late part of Wednesday, early part of Thursday. And whatever what happened on Wednesday for a lot of people, that vibration is continuing into Thursday. So be aware of what happened on Wednesday. There's layers to it. Moving along, between 3:30 and 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 4:30. The moon is going to make a conjunction to Venus. Now, this is not the exact point of where the Libra eclipse is going to be. It's actually where the Mercury Cazimi is going to be at the end of September. Like it's right around this area. So again, we have things that are kind of starting to come to the surface, showing a path, showing direction towards eclipse season in this moment from the new ideas and from these decisions. Now, when it comes to the rest of the day on the 5th, Mars is newly in Cancer. We've got to set the stage of whatever that represents for us. And we need to start realizing the actions that we are going to take have to do with a level of balance in these first few days of Mars in Cancer, where we need balance, where we need to do certain things, adding layers to that. Mercury is starting to rebuild its third and final square with Uranus. Now, this does not go exact on Thursday. It goes exact on Friday. But there can still be layers, news, information, exchanges, communication, travel unexpectedly that has additional layers to what has gone on. Now, the last 2 times that Mercury and Uranus had their squares, one was July 21st. The other was August 18th. Both of those were tied to full moons. They were tied to completions. This one is following a new moon. So the unexpected energy has the ability to also connect to the new beginning about whatever Virgo represents for you, that new moon in Virgo that we just had. So I like this final square. And again, we're building to it all day on Thursday, but it's not exact until Friday. So, but I want people to be aware of, unexpected news, unexpected situation changes, unexpected outbreak, viral type things. Expect some unexpected type things whenever it comes to the 5th. Okay, now we're moving this into Friday. There was no other direct transits to Thursday, so we're going straight into Friday. All right, the first one that happens is between 2 and 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. I got this at 2:30. Jupiter will enter a trine. Trines are triangles, air to air, flow, news, communication, a trine with the moon in Libra. There's been so many recent changes from different people, things that we've needed to heal, things that have expanded, new high hopes, where we are anticipating things to go next that needs to be voiced. It needs to be expanded upon. And there is an expansion energy to what we are voicing. We have some kind of new thing that's coming through in the voicing. And adding an element to that, Jupiter will trine the moon the most between 2 and 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. Mercury and Uranus are building their square. Mercury rules Gemini, where Jupiter is at. So we can have some big idea in the overnight hours of something that we want to talk about, someone we want to talk to throughout the vibration of the day on Friday. Okay. moving this along. Between 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, so we get this to 9:30, the moon is going to make the opposition to Chiron. What did we do to fix some past situation? This might not have anything to do with the rest of the day. We can be talking about a fix. We can be talking about a wound. We can be talking about what has hurt us. Remember, Mars is now in Cancer. Chiron is in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So we can be talking about a new wound, a new frustration, a new thing that's happening that feels like it's creating a wound, or a new event that reactivates an old wound. How did you fix this when you broke up with your husband? What did you do different to get over your situation? The who, the what, the when, the how, the why has to do with the wounds. It has to do with the trauma. It has to do with the abuse. It has to do with healing. Telling someone else what they can do to heal, how they can practice mindfulness, something along these lines. Doesn't feel very, very heavy. I do still feel like more and more weight is coming off of people throughout the week. Oh, okay. Now we're going to get to the next part. And between 11:09 and 11:28 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'm going to bump this late. I forgot. We're going late, not early. Okay, got this at 11:30. This is when we have our exact square between Uranus and Mercury. So we're just past it at this moment at 11:30. But we're building to it all day. Thursday, all day, Friday. It can even be a part of Saturday. It really kind of comes down to how this is playing out in your personal life. You might have layers and rounds of how this is playing out. You could have something unexpected changing in the workplace just as much as you can have unexpected things changing at home. And it doesn't have to be negative. I feel like the more and more we're getting closer to stuff, the more and more relieving that we are going through. Now, another reason this can have to do with both Friday and Saturday is because right whenever this square is perfecting, the moon is entering its square with Pluto. Now, Pluto is just back into Capricorn. There will be some people, they don't like the unexpected news, and it triggers an old wound, an old fear, an old frustration, an old situation, something that we didn't think we were having to deal with anymore. It's another layer of that, going back to the drawing board, going back to the past. Just because something is new does not mean the old is not present. And you can be told that, I don't think this is going to go the same way anymore. You've been, trying to make a new job work since the springtime, and all of a sudden it's not working the same way. We're going to have to lay you off. We're going to have to let you go. We're going to have to do something different. And whenever the moon hits that square to Pluto, I feel like a lot more people can become very, very aware of a fear factor, of that old wound, of that unfinished business. Now, this is not the same kind of unfinished business as what that Mercury retrograde was meant to bring up. This is something a little bit different. But if we didn't have the Mercury retrograde, we wouldn't get back to this point. They are correlated in some way. And some people, you're going to let go from the job. You got your way and you didn't go to that family dinner, but you have lived through hell all week with your wife. And by the end of the week, you have to go into a full conversation of, I will do the things that I want to do. I don't have to do everything your way. I am a grown ass adult. You are a grown ass adult. Act like it. And that could be a real interesting conversation that happens anywhere between Friday evening and Saturday morning. Now, what I think is interesting is right after midnight, we're going into Saturday now, still in the same vibration, the moon goes from its square to Pluto to entering Pluto's sign. And as soon as it enters Pluto's sign, as soon as it enters Scorpio, it's also going into a trine with the other ruler of Scorpio, which is Mars. So the moon will go from Libra to Scorpio at 12:19 a.m. Central Standard Time. I got this at 12:30. You guys know I do it with the hour increments. We're still in the square to Pluto. You can see that right here. It's like whatever triggers in this moment immediately takes us into this other mindset. It takes us back to an old way of thinking. It takes us back to an old fear. It takes us back to the drawing board in some way. Be aware of that. Something we haven't focused on in a long time. We haven't had a need to. Now, the trine between Mars and Pluto goes the most exact between 2:30 and 4:30 a.m. So I got this at 3:30. Here's Mars, 1 degree, 31 minutes. Here's the moon, 1 degree, 34 minutes. Emotional reactions. A fear trigger, a frustration trigger, a trigger, again, that we haven't dealt with in a while. I do keep kind of getting the idea of triggers here. A frustration setting in can have an emotional response, or it can lead to emotional reactions. And that's not going to be great for people in the middle of the night. I'm going to be honest about that. But if we're also dealing with things tied to people's health or relationships or their business, it can be because you lost this partnership, you lost this deal, you lost this thing. It's taking you back to the drawing board, and we're looking at the alternative ideas, the alternative methods, the alternative modes, the alternatives of what we can do next, because Mars is at the beginning of a sign, even though Pluto is at the end. And while the moon goes through Scorpio throughout the rest of the weekend, we can be in the dynamics of both sides. Something didn't go our way. We got that unexpected news that somebody's going in a different direction, because in that final square between Mercury and Uranus, Uranus is backwards. They're going in two different directions. It looks like a cartoon. Now, the moon in Scorpio right here is having reception from Pluto. Pluto is moving towards the moon. Mars is moving towards the moon. So we have this idea of something that is ending and beginning simultaneously. I got to let go of this other thing, rethink my process, rethink what I'm doing, rethink this plan, and take this kind of action moving forward. I'm looking at an alternative. For some people, that's going to be very frustrating. I get it. For other people, it's going to stir up a lot of emotions, especially if this is in your personal life or in your situationships. I get it. But be aware of what's going on here. Okay. Now, all day on Saturday, the sun is entering its opposition to Saturn. And we feel this the most exact on Saturday and Sunday. That's why I'm sticking to it here. But it doesn't actually go exact until later in the evening, specifically between 11:20 and 11:43 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 11:30. What do we got? Saturn, 16 degrees and 1 minute. Sun, 16 degrees and 1 minute. Pluto has just went back into Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. There has been a change in the opinion. There has been a change with superiors, with our roles, with responsibilities. And some people, again, we have delegation. The sun hitting the opposition to Saturn. It's like you've had a shit week. You haven't told anybody at home. You finally get home and you're telling your wife, I had to fire my best employee this week. Are you kidding me? No. Is that's what's been wrong with you? Yeah. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to talk about it. I needed time to wrap my head around it. Well, what are you going to do now? I'm wrapping my head around it. And there can be something about roles, responsibilities, something with the elder that is shifting, that is changing. Now, sometimes it's with the elder. I know we were doing better, but I feel like I'm getting worse. I feel like something bad is going to happen. I feel like something is going to be very, very stressful soon. Something's changing in my body. Something's changing in here. I can just feel it. I can feel that thing. I thought we were over it. Well, we go to the doctor. We got that referral. We're going to do this other thing. I know, but I can feel it. Now, are we all having this conversation at 11:30 at night on Saturday? No. Can we have it any time throughout the day on Saturday? Absolutely. Can we have this conversation anywhere throughout the day on Sunday? Absolutely. Saturn being retrograde in this mutable area, there's a change in power. There is changes in responsibilities. There are changes in the elders, in the roles and the responsibility. And it's a fluid thing that we've been dealing with since March of 2023. And it will be something that we continue to deal with for the next year, year and a half, on and off. Some people are going to be talking about how they want to retire, how they don't want to be in charge of something anymore. We can be talking to another person about, I think I wanted to put you in charge, or I want to put so-and-so in charge. I thought so-and-so was going to be my heir to the business or something like that. And come to find out I can't trust them anymore. Or they didn't think that I was actually going to give it to them and they've decided to leave the company. And we can become very, very aware of a sudden role changes with another person. For some of you, you're the Saturnian one, and you are the one telling another person, I'm not in charge of this anymore. I'm not responsible for this anymore. I don't feel the same way. I don't want to be in charge of it anymore. Something is changing. And I'm afraid if I don't allow for this change to happen, that the company will go under, that we won't survive. And there can be some weighted, emotional, yet logical conversations happening next weekend. Be aware of that. Okay. We're going to bump it a few more hours. We're getting into Sunday. We're getting into the early parts of the morning, specifically between 7:30 and 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we got two things happening simultaneously. Okay. Oh, the sun is going to go through a sextile with the moon. Now, we feel this the most exact between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Simultaneously, between 7:30 and 9:30, I said these two backwards, the moon is going through the trine with Saturn. Sometimes mom and dad have to have a real heavy conversation the night before, and you don't know about it as a kid till the next morning. That heavy conversation does not just exist on Saturday night. And that's why I was saying before, it doesn't just exist in one area. It's going to have a ripple effect. It's going to have delegation. It's going to have actions that follow. It's going to have phone calls that follow. And there's this final element of news coming to light. Why do I say that? The sun is in Virgo, Mercury sign. Mercury is wrapping up. It's in its final day of being in Leo. There is some final news. There is some outcome news that's coming to light that not everybody is privy to. You are not expecting. But there's something that is about to change, more knowledge that's about to come to the surface. There's this final element of an outcome, of an idea, of travel, of communication, a verdict of some sort that can come through at the start of the next week, at the start of it. And we're having this hard decision, hard discussion over the course of the weekend. Hard decisions are going to be made. But whenever the moon enters this energy between Saturn and the sun, it's that other party finding out. It's the other person learning about the decision. It's, I'm not going to be working in the same place anymore. Daddy's going to have to change his job. And sometimes changing jobs means I have to go to another state. I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm not going to be doing the same things. And we come to some kind of conclusion of knowing whatever is shifting and whatever is changing is some extra element of what's taking us back to the drawing board. Because in some ways, we don't always know how to fix something in the moment. And there are more and more elements that are taking us backwards. And again, this is that last full day of Mercury in Leo. Mercury will go into Virgo in the overnight hours of early Monday morning. So when it comes to the transits, this is the most exact of anything to Sunday. So I feel like when it comes to the week, the new moon is not the most important part. I feel like it is that final square between Mercury and Uranus. I feel like it's the entry of Mars into Cancer. It's where we have to take new actions to nurture something, to take something forward, to bring something further to light. because something has changed. So-and-so's not supporting it anymore. So-and-so's not going to be fighting for this anymore. Something has changed. It brings us into the new path and the new direction. It brings us into the new decisions that lead to that new path, that new direction. For some people, there's some very serious decisions that need to happen this week. For some people, it is because you are tired of the anxiety and the fighting and you saying, I'm done, I'm washing my hands of it. That news, well, I didn't expect them to give up completely. I just wanted them to agree with me. Now they're leaving. Now they're done. This is not my plan. And there is something about we need to address the old and the new. And again, we have these elements that are taking us back to the drawing board. And I meant that in the month ahead forecast. Like, we have to go back. We have some type of unresolved situation, some type of unfinished business, something from whatever Pluto and Capricorn represents for you. And it will take us through eclipse season for us to get the conclusions and the solutions to what that's going to be. Those conclusions and solutions are going to put something new into force, and that new is going to be almost hyperdrive new once we get into later parts of the year. We got baby steps to get through. Continuing one flow of energy to the other is very easy. Going through the daily motions takes forever sometimes. And that's where we're at. We're taking the steps, we're going through the daily motions this week of what is bringing us back to the drawing board, taking us back to that old focus, taking us back to that old plan, taking us back to what we must revise. We can only grow so much. We have to make an adjustment. For some people, that adjustment is going to trigger the old fears and the old wounds. I haven't had to think about this since the beginning of the year. I thought I was done with it. I've been so happy, but now I don't believe it. I don't know what's going on. Everything's going wrong. Okay. Is everything going wrong for you or for people around you, and you're taking it upon yourself? You're bringing it onto your plate. Cardinal signs: Capricorn rising, Cancer rising, Aries rising, Libra rising. For some of you, you have every reason to be that anxious. I thought everybody else had their shit under control, but apparently not. And I got to fix it. Cardinal signs. I said, whatever starts to happen, whatever decisions are starting to get made, it's like afterwards, things start to fall on your plate. You will get elements and inklings of what's falling onto your plate this week and throughout the rest of the month. Little by little, they start to come through. It's not meant to be a heavy week, but some people will feel it as heavy. They will acknowledge it and make it heavier than it needs to actually be. I actually feel like a lot more people are going to feel relief because they're tired of the weight. They're tired of the stress, and they're tired of conforming or pushing for something that nobody else wants. Fuck it. You want to go that way? You don't want to read the math, look at the numbers. You don't want to listen to me? Go do it. Doesn't mean you're right. And sometimes you have to let people learn lessons the hard way. Warn them all you want. I do it all the time. This is like my job. I warn you of what can happen if you go in this route, but the decision is still yours to make. Do you go in that route? Or do you recognize the lesson for what it is and make different decisions? So much of the reason that we have unfinished business that has been triggered through July and August, that is going to continue to be triggered through September and October for different reasons on both sides, is so you will make different decisions. What decisions did you make before? Did you trust your buddy, or did you actually check his references? Did you do a credit report? Did you do what's necessary before you hired him? No. It's the good old boy system. I've known him since I was a kid. Yeah, but did you know on the other times when he ain't hanging out with you and your golfing buddies that he's a con artist? No, you had no idea because you didn't do your diligence. You chose not to believe something. The writing was on the wall. None of his relationships stuck. He always was bad in business. Things never went his way, but he was always the victim. He was always the victim. How odd. Is his picker that bad? Or does he tell you what he wants you to hear? And then you have other people trying to tell you this isn't good. This isn't good. It's not a good match. It's got a good situation. It's going to hurt you. Suddenly those people are going to be like, okay, you want to go that route? You want to learn that lesson the hard way? Be my guest. If you are in that kind of situation right now, where somebody has been fighting you, listen to me, I'm telling you, why aren't you hearing me? Nobody's hearing you, but you can prove it. Facts, figures, receipts. Let them go. Some ways, sometimes, some people only get that lesson in their brain to frickin' stick if they learn the lesson the hard way. And that's their unfinished business. That's what they need to go back and deal with. That's what they need to overcome. It's not your lesson to learn. If after you go through this week, you have someone else throwing their hands up at you of, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Just go. Hear my words. I don't know you. I probably do, but when I'm saying this very blankly to everybody, cross your I's and dot your T's. It's the best thing you can do for yourself. If the truth was always the possibility of being there and you just decided not to see it, it's on you with whatever happens next. I've said before, some of the things that we have dealt with over the summer, they are not going to just be over the summer. In some ways, we come back around and we're dealing with them in a whole other way come springtime. Be aware of that, because if I go to repeat that later on and you're sitting there with eggs on your face, you were warned more than once. I hope everyone makes good decisions. I hope everyone can take steps in a great direction, and their unfinished business is just going back to the drawing board to rework some logistics and some plans so that way you can be prepared for amazing things later. That's what I hope for. But I'm realistic about what I'm seeing. Not everybody's going to go that way. And I know that. I'm sure you all know it too. But we're getting closer to something. And I really do love the vibration of September. I want it. Let's do this. Let's do September. I hope everything goes well for you throughout the month. But a lot of the decisions of this week will directly impact the way the rest of the month is going to go. And the second half of this month is eclipse season. We're going into something that speaks to fast, large movement. That's what eclipse season is good for. I hope everyone can fulfill hopes and dreams as we continue this month. But I'm realistic that some people are going to be learning some lessons the hard way. And I wish you well. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. There will still be a new moon in Virgo video. I just don't know if I'm recording it today or tomorrow. So I'll keep you posted. You'll figure out when I get it uploaded. Anyways, I'll talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.